Hello, this is Ola, your host on The Unpolished Mum, your weekly podcast on all things parenthood, languages and real life struggles. I'm really honoured you've decided to listen to me today, so let's begin. Hello guys, so nice to have you here again, and thank you so much for the lovely feedback I received after the episode I did with Wendy, the lactation consultant. I know it was a topic very close to many of you's hearts, and yeah, obviously it's good to be talking about it, because still lots of mums unfortunately feel or have felt under-supported. They felt judged by friends and family and generally the society, whatever they chose to do with their babies. So I think we should be talking about it more and continuously. But today, here is me again talking to you solo. So I hope it won't be too boring. But I'm personally very excited about this episode because I'm very passionate about what I'll be talking about. And I'll be talking about egoism and laziness, the two really nasty words. Did you please admit that when you saw the topic of today's podcast episode, you thought these are negative things, aren't they, right? But today I actually wanted to kind of prove to you that they don't have to be, that the fact that they have been perceived as something very, at least, pejorative is not the right way to think about it. So yeah, let's take egoism first. So when you think of a person who is an egoist, you would think that they only think about themselves, that they serve, themselves only. They don't think about the others. They're the opposite of an altruist, right? I would say that especially when it comes to parents, or especially mothers, I dare to say, it's kind of expected that mothers get rid of any sort of signs of egoism, because they just have to do everything they can to look after their babies or kids, right? Well, there is so many things wrong with it, because psychology and philosophy have mentioned so many terms that actually say that egoism is only some sort of an empirical concept that doesn't have to mean anything positive or negative. It's just a status quo, a thing that exists, okay? So one of the theories that I know of is of the psychological egoism, which is this thesis that we're always deep down motivated by what we perceive to be in our own self-interest. And now let's think about it. Is that bad? Would people ever think differently, and would that be perceived as something negative? Is thinking about your own needs or your own good something that can have a negative impact on other people's needs, and in our case here, our kids' needs? Because I don't think so. Okay, so that's just one of the things. Obviously there are other theories, there are other thesis that talk about egoism. There is also a term called ethical egoism that even says that people should be thinking about themselves as priority, and I think it's been lost somehow, and especially in some social circles or groups that are expected to completely forget about who they are just because they've chosen something, such as the thing being having kids. Okay, so I don't know if you remember, I've posted this funny video on my Instagram account with how I don't really enjoy playing with my son, and he's toys. I enjoy other activities, but I don't particularly like arts and crafts and like playing with actual plastic toys, whatever. And or actually two comments were, why have kids if you don't like it? And I'm like, that's just one sign of, okay, you have to forget about who you are as a person because now you're a parent. You've decided to have kids, right? Or a simple situation that, unfortunately, I know many of us have experienced, many of my friends have, and I have. You're pregnant, right? And you might be feeling a bit tired, exhausted, sick. You're on a bus or on a train, and nobody would give up their seat to you because they are either, pretending that they can't see you, or they just think inside their heads. It's your decision that you wanted to have kids. So why do I have to change anything and be flexible around you because you've made that choice, not another? And that's just another thing. That's just a proof of, okay, so you're an egoist because you're asking somebody to kind of give up some of their own, whatever, convenience, to give up their seat for you when you're pregnant. So it means that you are an egoist. Like, obviously, that's just wrong, okay? Or the general sort of feeling of, okay, every parent or every mother especially should enjoy every moment of motherhood, and if they don't, then it means there is something wrong with them, because motherhood is just programmed this way that you're supposed to love every minute of it and just be in it 100%. And if you're not, then definitely there is something wrong with you. And I felt like that many times in my life until I stopped, basically, because I convinced myself, no, I'm sorry, I used to be a person with my own experiences, with my own likes and dislikes, and it never changed, and it didn't change just because I had a baby, okay? Lots of things did change, and it is true that having kids is generally something that completely shifts your sort of mentality, your attitude towards life, and just generally changes everything logistically, right? But it doesn't mean that who you are is lost, okay? So going back to egoism a little bit, I don't understand why people expect us to be giving all the time, okay? I'm, for example, not anymore, I used to, but I'm not afraid to say that, I'm sorry, son, I don't feel like doing it. Or can we do something else? I know he's only 3 and he wouldn't understand, but I feel like this is also teaching him that people are totally allowed to have boundaries, and it's, it may sound egoistic, but it's not. It's just looking after your own needs and what you want and who you are, okay? It's supposed to be sort of ingrained in mothers that they have to sacrifice themselves for their kids. I mean, no wonder there are so many burnt out mothers if that's the society's expectation. My friend has said something that I now think is some sort of a golden thought, and I'm just going to carry it with me for many years. She, so let me first explain why she said that. So ever since Leon turned about 4 or 5 months, we've been really sort of strict about his evening routine, okay? That's the only thing that we ever did routinely, okay? All the other things we would go with the flow, where, as I say many times in my sort of social platforms, we do believe in, let's label it, although I hate labels, gentle parenting. But the evenings have always been very, very important for us, because that was the only time where we could just be ourselves, be a couple again, and we always wanted to have evenings for ourselves. So what that means is that every night at around 7 p.m. our son is in a bed. And whether that means, this putting to bed situation lasting an hour or 10 minutes, he is always in bed by 7, okay? We do it strictly for ourselves, and even if he complains, doesn't want to, we just always do it, okay? And this is what my friend said. She said, this may sound like something egoistic, because it's, clearly, obviously, there are situations when he doesn't want to, right? And, I usually respect his opinions and his choices, although he is a toddler, so some of them are just a little bit ridiculous. But, not this one. And I'm sorry, but not sorry. I feel that is our very healthy, conscious, egoistic choice that we did, and that has kept us sane for a long time, or ever since we actually became parents. So that's that. Okay. And to move on to laziness now, because I feel there is a big connection between the two. I'll tell you about it in a moment. But what do dictionaries say about laziness? So one of the definitions is that laziness is disinclination to activity despite having the ability to act. Okay, so basically there is something that you need to do, but you just don't do it. There is another definition that I didn't really like, that says the quality of being unwilling to work or use energy, which I'm like, is it really unwillingness? Because sometimes when I'm lazy, or when I try and imagine this feeling of laziness or being lazy, it's not always because I don't want to do stuff. It's sometimes because I really can't, but maybe that's just me. And that's actually very much connected with what I wanted to say next. It's, so I sometimes know that I should be, folding my laundry away, but I'm scrolling through my phone. And then, sometimes I do it very mindlessly, and sometimes I do stop and think, oh, Jesus, I've just wasted 45 minutes and it's completely pointless. And it's not because I didn't have the energy. I just, social media is addictive. But very often, and I would say more often, it's a sign of something else. So what I read, because I was really interested in the whole topic, and again, laziness being something very pejorative and a negative quality. If you obviously you would never say that you are a lazy person, right, in a job interview or whatever, because it's obviously such a negative term. But there is lots of research, and psychology says that laziness can be a sign of or a symptom of something else. So, for example, of being exhausted, or a poor diet, or it could be very much connected with procrastination, but a very positive procrastination. So this period in which you are actually gathering energy and putting things off, but so that you can start with a full force. That's at least how I find myself feeling many times when you could label it as laziness. Very often it's also a sign of lack of self-worth. Okay, it's sometimes people, obviously it would depend on the actions being discussed. Obviously